really a great way to start off these videos. I like beer. I like making these videos. Just a good combination, you know? So in the last video, I told you guys I had a couple requests. One of the requests was to see how I actually attach all these pieces onto the helmets. So this isn't going to be a real long video. It's going to be pretty quick, pretty brief, because these things take a long time for me to make. I'll give you a couple tips here and there, but yeah, basically we'll just go from start to finish. Luckily for you guys, I actually have each one of the building processes ready to go here for you. You know, I got my normal dome hat, this piece. I got a G1 Jazz that I'm working on for a friend right now, and I got the finished Optimus Prime. So I'll be able to go through, just kind of briefly touch on everything. If you guys have any questions, please just direct message me or, you know, send me an email, whatever you want to do. And I'd be happy to answer any kind of questions that you might have, or if you need any kind of tips or advice, whatever you want. Or if you actually want like some more involved like pictures or something like that. I have tons of pictures. I don't post them all, but you know, I can send you anything that you want to see in detail. So just let me know. I'm happy to help you guys out. So first thing I just want to say is, you know, I always get the question, you know, what kind of templates are you using? Where are you getting your templates? Are you selling your templates? Are you using some sort of PEP files or something like that? I don't use anything like that. The way I do it is I'll just find a picture reference, or if it's going to be a toy, I'll use a toy, whatever it is, but I'll find that picture, that reference, and I'll basically just look at the point that I want to start at, and then just draw that out, like basic idea, onto the foam. I'll cut that piece out, and then put these things together like a puzzle. But to get to that point, you need to start somewhere. So we've talked about it in one of my other videos. Just got your little dome piece made out of your scraps. It's great. It's fit directly to your head, so you know it's going to fit you. It's not going to be wobbling on your head or anything like that. You're using these little scrap pieces up. These things are awesome. I have a whole stack just ready to go. Any helmets I want to build, this is what I'm starting off with. But yeah, if you guys have used this, I'm sure you would have to probably agree with me that these things just work great, and it's a really nice platform to build the rest of the helmet off of. So that's where that is. And once you have that, then you can move on to the rest of this piece here. So you get your support pieces here. Get your pieces come down for your ears, and you know, your cheek and face piece. And like I said in the other video, like this is just, it's going to be based on however your project is, whatever it is. You know, you might have like, you want an angle like this out here, or out like whatever it is. It's going to vary. I don't have a specific way of doing that, so it changes. But once you have that, then it's time to actually start. So when you start getting ready to do this, you need to pick a point, like a really good point to use as a reference. Because if you don't have a good reference point, your proportions are going to be all off, out of whack. And it's just not going to look right. And you want it to look as good as you can, because you put a lot of time in this thing. You know, you put a lot of money into it probably too. And you just want this thing to look as good as you can. So make sure you have a really good reference point to start off at. On Optimus Prime, my starting point was this forehead piece. Because I knew once I had this forehead piece going, that I would be able to use this to reference all these other pieces to get the proportions right. And once you have that one centerpiece, everything's just, it's going to come together. And really, I think for me, the hardest thing is finding that starting point, and even just figuring out the sizes, because as you can see, this thing looks really awkward right now. Like, the size, it just looks weird, right? So you got this really tiny small piece, and then it's big up here, right? But then if you look at this thing, it looks normal. So it's hard to get that vision, but once you have it, everything's going to come together. Because once I had this piece, it looked really funny, but it just comes together in the end, and you're going to be really happy with the result, and proportions just look awesome. So let's talk about how I attach this stuff. So on this Jazz helmet here, I started with this crown piece here. I basically just gave it a rough idea. You can see this, I have this thing going long in the back, so I can just, as I build this thing, I can trim this thing off and then start angling it down for the back as I see fit. It's better than, say, if I made it here and it was too short, then I'll basically be putting some sort of addition on or scrapping that piece because it wasn't going to fit. So I like to have a little bit extra. If you got to cut it off, you cut it off. but it's better to have that extra than not. So I made this piece a little bit long, and chances are I'll probably end up cutting this thing off right about here and bringing it down for the back of the helmet. But once I had that piece, this was my reference point for the rest of the size of everything. So I had that, then I built this forehead piece here. This was a separate piece. Basically, I just figured out my angles and all that. I cut that piece out, and I fit that on there just like a puzzle piece. That's how I do all this stuff. This one here, it was a separate piece. Same thing, working my way around, and eventually I'll have the whole thing. So now that I have this kind of like forehead piece and top of this head piece built, I'll do the, you know, the signature jazz ears, cat ears, whatever you want to call them. And then I'll just kind of walk my way down to the cheeks, and then probably the face will be the last thing, and then the visor too. But yeah, that's how I do that. And this is all held together with contact cement. And then the way I attach it to the dome piece here is basically I'll figure out where I need to be, like basically get this thing all the angles right, so you know that the head's not all cockeyed or anything like that. And then I'll hit it with a little bit of hot glue. I'll set that piece down on there, make sure my angle's right, hold it, let it dry, and then I'll come back and then I'll glue from the inside, and that's how I'm actually finishing that piece off. You can see a little bit of glue here. I don't know if you guys can actually see the glue inside of there, but that's how I glue these things. And it really helps me to make sure that, you know, that everything is right and nothing looks off. So that's how I do it. And then, you know, basically I just finish this thing up, and that's it. You know, hit it with the Dremel, clean up these edges. But yeah, that's really all it is. And then eventually you'll get something like this. It's finished product. Looks pretty good. Each one of these was an individual piece that, you know, I cut out and glued on there. And you can see inside here, I actually had to cut that dome piece out of there because this helmet, as I built it, it kind of shrunk on my head because I made this thing a little bit too tight, which was a mistake that I made. It happens, and that's another good point to these things, is that you can cut these things out afterwards, because now you have built your shell around that dome piece. So if you got something too tight in there, just cut it out like I did, and then that's fine. The thing fits great. But yeah, that's really all I got. Like I said, if you guys have any specific questions, or if you need any kind of help, please don't hesitate to ask me. Because when I started doing this stuff, I didn't really have too much help from anybody. A couple videos on YouTube, that was really about it. So please, just let me know if you guys have any questions. As always, you guys can check out my current build, which is Optimus Prime. Started on the leg, and eventually I'll start posting some pictures of the Jazz helmet here. But you guys can always check me out on Instagram at BMBids. If you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.